Hello and welcome to our Click Love Grow professional photographer interview series. And this is the very first one that we're kicking off, and it's going to be a total treat for us because not only do we get to talk to some amazing photographers, be inspired by their work, but I think they're going to have some awesome tips and tricks for us to help us start taking better photos as well. Now, the first series, which is today, we're kicking off with Pam Bradford. Now, for those of you who are members of our Click Love Grow community, you will already know and love Pam. She is an instructor in our enthusiast and our advanced courses, and she's also lots of fun in our grads group, bringing her very unique sense of humor, her love of cats, and also runs our fortnightly challenges. So we're kicking off today with Pam. And Pam, as I said, she's based in Melbourne, Australia. She's a portrait photographer, and the photos that I love that Pam takes are her family photos because I just feel like she has this amazing ability to capture a real connection between her clients. And Pam, I'm talking about you as if you aren't there, but hello. We'll start off, I think, the first question, just maybe give us a short intro into why you love photography, but in particular, what it is about families that you really enjoy photographing.
Okay, well, I've just loved photos generally since I was a kid. Like looking at photos, had my first camera when I was around 10.
Okay.
And then about 10 years ago, I got into it more seriously and bought my first DSLR. And then I started photographing professionally. This is my 6th year.
Okay.
And I like photographing people. It's my favourite subject to begin with, but I particularly like photographing families because when you get people together with their loved ones, they're much more relaxed, and their personalities come out a lot easier than if it's just me and them.
Definitely. But obviously,
so I get to capture some really intimate moments, some really spontaneous moments when they're with their family.
Well, and I think too, sometimes when I look at your photos, I think, well, you're probably capturing a level of interaction and moments that the families don't even realize that they want until they see them, because you're getting them to sort of lean in and have those really special moments. And in fact, I've got some of your photos that we really loved, so I'm just going to pop them up on the screen. Okay. And so this shot here with the leaves, I just love that shot. So is this something you quite often do with families?
Sorry, is
this a shot that you take quite often with families? Or maybe just chat a little bit about getting these sort of casual shots.
Yeah, well, it helps if the family are really playful naturally to begin with. You can't force families to be playful if they're not already.
Yeah.
But I'll say to them, just do whatever it is you do at home when you're trying to get your child to laugh or smile. Do that now, whether that's tickling or cuddling or whatever. And the extent of it, how far they take it, will just depend on their personalities.
So
I don't want them to not be themselves either, or then I'm not capturing their personality.
Well, that is true. And so you're kind of giving them permission to go a little bit wild.
Yeah, and this family were just particularly a lot of fun. And I just had to be ready to capture it. It was one of my favourite shoots I've ever done.
It's a gorgeous shot. And so now the photos with the family, again, I'm sure no doubt at family sessions you get the traditional shots where people are sitting and they're posed really nicely, because it's always really, really great to have those as well. But I love these ones as well, with the little girl on her mom's back and the little boy poking behind her dad.
Yep.
So when you're doing a shoot, is this something that you do the formal ones at one stage and then you have a more relaxed sort of go after that?
Definitely, because everybody, it doesn't matter who they are or what style of photography they like, every family wants that one posed shot where everybody's looking at the camera and everybody's smiling.
So when would you say is the best time to get that one?
It's different from family to family.
Okay.
I don't plan it. I just get a feel for it when I get there. If
Okay.
they're yeah, if they're all if I get there and they're already playful and relaxed and engaging with me really easily, I just go with it.
Mm-hmm.
And then I find I can always just settle them down later to do something a little bit more formal.
Okay.
Uh,
So you're
and then
reading it.
sometimes it works the other way. They just need time to warm up to me, so I might do those shots first
Okay.
and use that opportunity to banter a little bit and
Yes,
get
that's
them
a
on
really
my
good.
side, win them over.
Yeah, that is a really good answer because, I always thought, oh, do the formal shot at the start because then I know that I've got that. So I feel a bit more relaxed afterwards. But it's definitely true about reading the family and then knowing when is the best time to capture that.
Yep.
And what about mums and dads? Because again, the same session as well, the shots that you captured, I mean, if I had those with my husband, I'd just be so excited.
Mm.
So is that again something you try and do every family session, or do you read their personalities?
It depends on the parents because some parents don't want photos of just themselves.
That's true.
So, and the ones that do, I think, thinking about it, the couples that do want those photos are just naturally affectionate anyway.
Yes.
So it's
Okay.
pretty easy. And if they don't know, if they don't do it starting out, I just have to say, I want to see a cuddle or I want to see a kiss,
Yeah.
and it just comes.
Yeah.
You can't cuddle or kiss someone you love without getting into it. Like,
Well, that's true. I
you gotta
know.
check that out.
No, I know what you meant. I know what you meant.
Sorry.
Yeah. You can let them go into it, So, when you're on a shoot then, do you do much to prepare beforehand?
I'll ask the family if there's any specific shots they want,
Mm-hmm.
so I can try and make sure we get those.
Yep.
Uh, and if there are any must-get shots, I will usually try and get those fairly early on.
Okay.
Extended family is more. That's more important with because you've got all these different combinations that you need to get grandparents with the grandchildren and grandparents with the adult children and all that. The whole family shot. I always do that one first.
Okay.
That's the most important one. I've never met an extended family that didn't say, as long as you get this one shot of all of us together, we'll be happy. We don't care about everything else. But we always end up getting at least a dozen other combinations.
Okay. Fantastic. And I suppose that's a different style as well, the extended families, or do you still try
It
to
is.
incorporate the more casual elements?
I've just started to recently, as I've done more and more of them, and I'm doing them faster and faster. I'm starting now at the end to get all the cousins together and get my 50mm lens on, and I
Mm-hmm.
just get right in their faces. I get them all, squeeze them all together, and cousins, when they're together, can't help but have fun. They're just so easy, 50mm, right up there, bit of distortion,
Yep.
and just go for it. And I always do that as a black and white series.
Oh, that would be really lovely. Yeah, I like black and whites. I especially love your black and whites, and we're going to show some in a little bit about your favorite. But seeing as you mentioned lenses and equipment, and I know that's especially in Click Love Grow, that is probably one of the most common questions that we get asked about lenses. So you
Yeah.
love the 50mm, as do I. What would you say is your other favorite lens for taking family portraits?
Other than the 50mm.
Yes.
Oh, okay. My 24 to 70, 2.8,
Okay.
2.6. Yep. Yep.
And so
Years ago, I used to use a 200mm
Mm-hmm.
because I just love the compression that it gives in the background.
Yep.
And then I started to feel like I needed a megaphone to direct the family.
Because they have to be
So
so far away.
I started using a 135.
Okay. Which, as
Um,
I've written about, is my favourite.
I know.
Yeah.
Yep. But then I just started to feel that I needed a zoom. I'd been prime for years and I wanted a zoom. I just felt like I was missing a lot of shots because I was changing lenses
Got
because
it.
I didn't have any zooms. I was all prime.
Okay.
So I bought the 2470 and I used that for all my family shoots now.
Fantastic. It
Yeah,
is a really versatile lens, so it is really
yeah,
handy. Now, I just
yeah.
wanted to ask you, because you've also shared with us some really beautiful newborn shots. And of course, because I'm in that, clucky, well, I'm not clucky because I have a baby, but in that, I'm like, oh, they're so squishy and adorable.
Squishy.
Is there
Yeah.
any particular advice you have when you're going into someone's home to capture these more lifestyle type shots of families?
You can't really have a plan to photograph them sleeping or photograph them curled onto a beanbag or um, when you're going into someone's home, you don't know what the surroundings are like. You don't know what the light is like. You just have to be really open. It's great to have some ideas, but you just cannot have a fixed plan when it comes to babies. You don't know what they're going to do and what the environment is going to be like.
That's such perfect
So
advice. And I think
be
too,
prepared to be
because,
flexible.
sorry, I
So you've
interrupted
got to
you.
be prepared to be flexible.
Yes, definitely. Because I was going to say we see these beautiful posed baby shots on Pinterest and on other people's websites, and certainly people who dedicate themselves to that craft and have the appropriate setup. That is awesome. But I
And so
think,
good at them.
sorry.
And so good at them.
Oh
I would
yes,
never good at that style.
yes. But
Yep.
there's also a beauty in these natural shots as well, to be able to capture the lifestyle elements of what some elements of what your house looks like and, the interactive type shots. So I think the way that you capture these is really beautiful and the
I'm just
details.
looking at them again and loving them
Yeah.
all over again.
It's a very sweet baby as well.
Oh, it's so beautiful.
Yeah.
But
So,
just going back to what you're
oh
saying
yes.
about the challenges, in this one in particular, we couldn't put him down on his own. He would
Okay.
just cry. But in his mum's arms, he was happy. So I did almost the entire shoot with him in her arms and still got a really big variety. So
And
I
that's
was really
beautiful
happy
for the
with
mum
that
as
shoot.
well, that she's got those images. Um,
Yeah.
so that's your client work. Do you have a dream shoot of something personally that you'd love to photograph, or a particular
Mhm.
photography style that you'd really love to try or do more of?
Yep. Yeah, well, I've had an opportunity to shoot musicians playing music a
Cool.
couple of times or a few times, and oh, I can't even describe how much I love doing that. And I love music and I love taking photos, so it's just two of my great loves. Um, it gives me such a good feeling that I'm on an adrenaline high for weeks after I've done that.
Wow, that's awesome. We've got some of your black and white band shots
Yeah.
that,
Yeah.
again, I love as well. And
hmm
so, how did you start doing this or discover that you loved it?
Well, I have a friend who is a musician,
Mm-hmm.
and he asked me to take some shots of him and his band in a recording studio one day. So I said, yep, of course. And I was a little bit scared because I'd never done anything like that before. And I didn't know what the conditions would be like. And as it turned out, the studio was just so tiny you couldn't swing a cat.
Oh, no.
And the light was really bad. But I just got my 5D3 maybe a month earlier. So I was shooting at like 28,000 ISO.
Wow. So
28,000.
that's the 5D Mark III camera, the Canon camera.
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah.
That's amazing.
I can remember off the top of my head the shot of the drummer here
Mm-hmm.
was taken at 10,000 ISO. Like that's
Wow.
just such a beautiful camera.
That is amazing. And
I mean, in black and white, you can get away with grain anyway.
yes, it definitely suits the style of images and the way that you take them. But I feel like too, looking at the photos, I know that you're loving them because I just get that sense
Yeah.
in
So
the
there's
images.
just there's all this energy and passion, and it's just there. I don't have to direct them. I don't have to try and bring it out of them. They're doing what they love too, and I'm just catching it.
And
It's
enjoying the
the
music.
most awesome thing. Yeah. Yeah.
So given that, it's great that you're able to combine, the side of photography that you love, and then you have the business side as well. That's the families, and you capture beautiful lifestyle shots. So what would you say is? So I'm going to ask you two last questions. First of all, I'd love to know what you feel like your strength is as a photographer, and then I'm going to ask you about what advice you have for other people who are, just starting to explore photography. They might be thinking about pursuing it more, or even just a piece of advice for really nailing, that one shot that you want to capture.
Okay. What was the first question again? Oh,
Your
what did you
strengths as
think
a
my strengths
photographer.
are? I'm told I capture personality. I don't know how. I'm just shooting what I see and what I love, and
Well,
I
I
guess yeah, maybe I'm doing it by accident, but I
well,
seem to do it consistently.
you do.
And I'm told clients tell me all the time that I help them feel really relaxed and comfortable. And it's probably I would say that's evident during sessions that when they first arrive, they often look really nervous and unsure, and fairly quickly we're clicking and bantering and engaging, and I can see them relax, and I can see as the shoot goes on, they get more and more relaxed. And quite often at the end, I say, "Oh wow, that went really fast," and then they might message me later and say how much they enjoyed it, that wasn't something they expected.
That's
So
fantastic. Yes.
yeah, I
And I
just don't know how I do it
Yeah.
though.
Well, I think it definitely shows in your photos that clients are very relaxed. So it's great that you're able to bring that into your images. So the other one was advice for other photographers or people dipping their
Yep,
toes or jumping feet first into the world of
yep,
photography.
yep. It seems really obvious, but just not to try and skip past learning um, the essentials, such as recognizing good light and how to render it. Know your camera. You should be able to change settings on your camera without even looking. You should just be looking through the lens, and you know where all the buttons and the dials are, and you're just flicking through. Um, and yeah,
Which comes with
I
practice.
think
Just lots of, would you
that's
say?
it. Yep, lots and lots of practice,
Yeah.
and not to get. I can remember getting really frustrated with the mistakes I was making and taking more bad shots than good shots years ago, and feeling like I'd never be good at it. But you just keep practicing, keep practicing, keep practicing, and every mistake you make, you learn from. And what was the other thing I was going to say?
Confidence?
As you go on, you'll start to notice that more and more you're doing more better shots than mistakes. Yeah,
That
so
is
that's it.
awesome advice. Awesome
Mm,
advice. And I
yeah,
do have another one. It's the
thanks.
last one.
Yeah, yeah,
And only because we talked about this before, but
yeah.
that's fantastic advice to keep picking up the camera. And you mentioned when we were chatting previously about an aha moment, which
Oh,
ties
yep,
into that as well.
yep. Okay, so when I was first learning, I used to look at work of other photographers, and their family work especially just looked so natural. And I imagined that they weren't directing ever, that they were just getting it, these magical moments organically. And so I felt like if I was directing, that I wasn't very good. And it took me a really long time to realize that not only is it okay to do that, so it doesn't mean that the moments are fake. I might be just directing them to try something that will lead them into being interacting more and being more natural, and then those moments are real. But some families actually need it and appreciate it because they come and they're a little bit nervous and they don't know what I'm expecting of them. So if I can give them a little bit of direction or a lot, depending on what I think they need, um, it really helps them to relax. And then usually, halfway through, they don't need it anymore anyway because they get the idea of what I'm after.
Got it.
So
Yeah. That I mean that's really good advice as well because it is so hard to know how a professional runs their shoot if you either
yeah,
haven't had a session like that as a client or you
yeah,
haven't seen. So I can definitely see how you can get that sort of self confidence. Oh, if I do it like that, it's not the right way. Or
yeah.
if I get them to pose, then I'm faking the natural moments. But that's awesome advice to sort of that it's okay to do that, and then those
Yes,
natural moments will fall out of that direction that you give
that's
them.
right. It's just another way to draw it out of
Yeah,
them.
yeah. Oh, that's fantastic. Well, thank you so much for chatting with me, um,
You're welcome.
and sharing the beautiful images. And I love the advice that you've given about essentially making sure you practice and getting that confidence, and
Mm.
just people going forth and doing what they love and trying it.
Yep, yep.
Perfect. Well, thank you, Pam.
My pleasure.
And for those of you that are listening in, thank you so much for joining us, and thank you to the fantastic Pam. And if you ever have any questions about photography or things you'd like to see us cover, or questions maybe you'd like us to ask a pro, then please let us know. Have a good day. Bye.
Bye.